Big-time boxing match in London. Olympic gold medalist Anthony Joshua making his return to the ring after a one-year layoff, looking to set up a fight with Tyson Fury with a win in this one. Going toe-to-toe with Kubrat Pulev as Joshua looks to defend his WBO, WBA, and IBF heavyweight titles. Pulev riding an 8-fight win streak. Round 3, Joshua lands 2 hard uppercuts that hurts Pulev. Joshua starts to pour it on. Pulev turns his back. Ref scores it as a knockdown, but Pulev would survive. Moments later, Joshua keeping his foot on the gas, connecting with hooks and uppercuts, knocks down Pulev again, looking overmatched. But Pulev would survive yet again. Huge round 3 for Joshua. Round 9, Joshua landing uppercuts at will. The third one drops Pulev. See ya. Pulev would be able to get up, but was on very wobbly legs. Moments after the knockdown, Joshua would connect with a straight right that flattens Pulev. Unable to answer the 10 count, the ref would wave the fight off. Anthony Joshua taking a bow after a masterful performance, embracing the legend Floyd Mayweather Jr., who just signed to fight Logan Paul in an exhibition. Can't wait to see that. And I can't wait to see Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. After the fight, his promoter Eddie Hearn saying that's the next fight to make. Yes, it is. Anthony Joshua retains his heavyweight titles, winning via 9th round KO. I mean, if you had a whole lot of money laying down -900, good for you. Brian Campbell told you to take Anthony Joshua, even though he was out of the ring for a year. Look, sometimes you got to pay a high price. You got to spend money to make money. That's how sometimes it works out. 22nd knockout of Anthony Joshua's career. Let's get some instant analysis, and for that we welcome in CBS Sports combat analyst and the co-host of Morning Combat, Brian Campbell and Luke Thomas. Just over a year since the last time Joshua had fought. Luke, how did he look to you?
He looked good. Again, the question wasn't so much whether or not he was going to win, but how would he look? Would this be the Joshua of old, who was the one you may have seen in the Klitschko fight, or would this be sort of the newer version, the more careful version that you saw in the second Ruiz fight? And I honestly thought he was splitting the difference. He was really working behind the jab the majority of the fight, no matter what was happening, except for those sprints and blitzes that you saw in the 3rd and 9th round. He actually has a great left hand. He did a lot with it. Good jabs to the body and to the top. He was using it as a post, to turn, to block, all kinds of stuff. But really what you saw was he was patient when he needed to be. He was setting traps. He was giving the guy a ton of looks. And when there was an opening, yes, then he would go absolutely berserk, looking for the finish. This was an educated performance, but one where it wasn't so crafty, it wasn't so smart that it was risk averse. It was appropriate in how much risk he accepted, and as a consequence, that's why he got the finish. He could have worked the jab for as long as he wanted to. He decided to do a little bit more.
Yeah, I think Luke nailed it. Look, if you're looking for the Anthony Joshua of old, he's not around anymore, right? He's tasted defeat. He had Andy Ruiz in their first fight on the verge of being knocked out, and he got caught with a punch that I believe has changed him to this day. The good news, however, is that's still going to be more than good enough to beat just about every heavyweight in this division, maybe except for Tyson Fury or maybe Deontay Wilder. You've got Anthony Joshua at 6'6", built like brick, and can box, is quick, and carries out a smart game plan. The Anthony Joshua of old, not just in that Ruiz fight, but in a few others, had gotten himself into trouble by looking to be a little bit too aggressive going into the finish. I really loved his balance between safety and destruction. And when it was time to get his opponent out of there, and oh, by the way, let's give Pulev some respect for defensive responsibility and toughness, AJ delivered the boom. This was the kind of ending I think he needed for his critical respect, for his fans' whereabouts, and maybe for him mentally as well, to still prove that he can go in there and be a destroyer if he needs to be.
And after the fight, his promoter, Eddie Hearn, said that Joshua-Tyson Fury is the next fight to make. BC, after this result, how close are we to seeing that fight?
How close, right? Hey, there's a thing in boxing called politricks, right? All the fans want this fight. The fighters kind of seem like they want it. Tyson Fury put out a video on Twitter right after the bout saying, I'll knock him out in 3. There can be a problem, as we already know, with boxing and making the big fights. Right now, the things in the way of this one happening are not just the fact that the fighters are with separate promoters on separate television networks. And oh, by the way, Anthony Joshua is on DAZN, which doesn't do pay-per-view Tyson Fury fights for ESPN. We got issues there. But even more than that, they both have mandatory opponents and still to fight before that fight can be made. Now, there has been ways around that in the past in boxing, whether it's paying an opponent to step aside. And Anthony Joshua was supposed to be defending one of his 3 titles against Alexander Usyk next, or sometimes outright giving up the title and vacating it if you can make a bigger money fight. I do not believe either man would vacate in this case, because Joshua and Fury, one of the big reasons why it'd be so special is we could get an undisputed heavyweight champion, the first time in this major 4-belt era. And look, as the heavyweights go, so does boxing. What casual fans want? They want to know one division, one champ, one face, one name. We are very close to that. It's going to be up to the promoters, the networks, to kind of carve out the fine details. Could it happen in 2021? It very well could, whether we see either guy take a tune-up or mandatory fight first, or we get in there and make this business happen.
I mean, part of promoting is making the fights that the fans will pay money to see. That might, in fact, be your major objective. But when you can't do that, it's just lying to them. It's getting them excited. It's telling them that there's really, there is a Santa when, in fact, there isn't one, right? I mean, here's what I'm trying to get at. BC nailed it. There are 2 mandatories in the way, one for each of them. And in the case of Usyk, he's already said he's not going to step aside. And also, BC pointed out, I guess you could give it the title, the WBO title, if you're Anthony Joshua, but then you wouldn't have all 4 belts on the line. So the Usyk one, by the way, doesn't want to step aside. You would need to have the belt, and that's actually a sneaky good fight. Listen, I'll just tell you straight up. I mean, I don't know what the future holds. I cannot predict it. That is not what I do. But if asked, like, what do I really think is going to happen next for either guy, they ain't fighting each other. It's just not going to happen. Now, could they fight in 2021? That does seem quite plausible. But next, Santa's going to come to your door and deliver presents on Christmas Eve before you'll see that next for either of those 2 fighters.
Oh, well, if you're naughty or nice, he's checking his list, checking it twice.
You're going to see that anyway. I still believe. How dare he? I mean, come on.
Come on, Miracle on 34th Street. Luke, BC, great stuff as always. Appreciate it. Hey, for more with Brian Campbell and Luke Thomas, check out Morning Combat, spotlighting the weekend's biggest news from the world of boxing and mixed martial arts. You can watch the series on YouTube. You can also listen to the podcast on Apple and Spotify, wherever you download your podcasts. Download and subscribe today.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.